in the world, and welcome to USA Global TV's Ricki's Kitchen and the United Kitchens. And today, Friday being the end of the week, and it's not going to be a fishy Friday this time. As a nutritionist, we're doing some healthful, really good winter soups. This time, we're going to do a Tuscan bean soup. And I'd like to introduce my friend and sous chef today wearing my new apron. This is Lorraine, and she's going to help us with all the preparation for the soup, which is a real easy one today. And you can reach me at rickiskitchen.net. That's RICKISKITCHEN.net. And in order to find out where you can get the little book that matches the apron that says that everything tastes better with bacon, and you can get a giggle out of that because that's how you spell bacon. And today, we've also got, the cup that matches where it says take whisks in the kitchen. It's my favorite tool to use in the kitchen, so we played with it. And in addition today, just like to show you my book, which you can get on Amazon. It is Yes You Can Eat Well and Eat Right. And it's a fun book. It's got recipes. It's got places for you to put your own recipes. And since I believe in intuitive cooking, I suggest that if we're doing something with an ingredient that you either don't prefer or don't like at all, you want to change the ingredient, go ahead and do that. It's what tastes well and smells good to you that matters in the food that you prepare. So yes, you can eat well and eat right and eat the things that you want to eat. And you can list the little substitutions in here because there's some blank pages along with the recipes and everything else that's in there. There's food history and some other goodies about fun facts about foods. So enjoy. And with that, we're going to start making our Tuscan white bean soup. As I said, it's an easy soup, and Lorraine's going to start chopping some of the ingredients. We've got fresh spinach, or you can use frozen spinach. We also have carrots, onions, celeries, pretty traditional for soups. And one of the things I wanted to show you, when I get garlic, I usually buy garlic that's already peeled and fresh. So it kind of speeds up the work in the kitchen. And you don't have a lot of chopping to do with the garlic to get the skins off. But what I like to do once I get it home, if I can ever get the package open, and all right, we do need to put the garlic in, and I think maybe we'll start with the onion. Aha! Here we have the garlic in plastic, and I'm not really a fan of plastic, but as most of us know, the whole world is glutted with it, and everything comes in plastic. So what I do is I take my fresh garlic, and I have a wonderful little glass jar. We're going to take those 2 garlic cloves out, and I'm going to store the new ones in my glass jar. And as much as I use garlic, I don't really have to add some olive oil to it. But in order to sometimes keep it fresh and to keep it from turning and doing strange things, if you're not using it very often, please put a little bit of olive oil in with it. And the other thing I recommend is take a double layer of a plastic baggie. Cut out a piece of plastic baggie or a thick piece of plastic, put it on top before you put the top on, and that will keep your jar from being a little aromatic mess in the refrigerator. You don't want your whole refrigerator smelling like garlic. So that little piece of plastic does a great job of keeping it fresh and also keeping the aroma in the jar. And the next thing, of course, I've got my Parmesan cheese all grated in another glass jar. And so we're going to start by getting rid of this to the recycle bin. And let's go, Lorraine. Okay, you hit the carrot. I'll do the onion to get it in there, and the garlic. So we're going to start with our Tuscan white bean soup. Do you need another knife, or is that one okay?
I can try with this one.
Okay, fine. And I'm going to start by just mincing my garlic by hand because I like to do it that way. I like fresh. And you can use already minced garlic. You can also buy garlic in jars that are, it has it already prepared. But I like to do my own because This way it gets to float in the soup, and it gets to be in chunky pieces if I want it chunkier. And there's nothing better, as far as I'm concerned, than beginning the day with the lovely smell of garlic and olive oil and onions on the range. So we're going to take the garlic and put it in our pot. And I've got about a 4-quart pot, which is plenty big enough because we're only adding liquid today will be from the tomatoes that we put in. We're using fire roasted tomatoes, organic fire roasted tomatoes from a can. And I'm going to start with my olive oil, a couple of tablespoons, maybe just one, a little more than a big tablespoon, and put it on medium high to get started. And we'll show you a little later how all that looks. Ah, you grabbed my knife.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You can have a bag.
I do have another knife. We have fun. One of the things I really recommend to do in your kitchen is have fun. Please enjoy the life in the kitchen. If you're just starting out as a cook or a chef, especially as a cook in home, which is really what we are. I've been doing this for many, many years. But have a good time in the kitchen. That's what it's meant for. And you know what? There's a difference in how the food comes out. If you're really having a good time and enjoying what you're doing in the kitchen, it makes a difference in the food. It really does.
Would you like me to chop the spinach?
Yes, please. Let me get you grab another knife. Yeah. Okay, this is my favorite knife, and I absolutely love it. So I usurp it, especially when there's somebody else around. So I'm going to just chop this little onion up roughly, and we'll get it set in there. Because the garlic is already starting, I can hear it. It's just about starting to sizzle. And I'm going to take, this is about, it's half of a large onion. And we're going to end up with about 3/4 of a cup of chopped onion. Half to 3/4 of a cup is fine, and you can cut it up any way you like. This is not exactly the professional way to cut it, but who cares? We're just cutting it up and having a good time in the kitchen. It's Friday. So.
Am I chopping all the spinach?
That's probably going to be about enough. Well, we'll end up with about, as I say, this is about a cup of onion. I can measure it if you like, but okay. That's it, just for fun. Okay, we'll measure it just for fun. This is a 4-cup measuring cup, by the way. So let's see where this comes to. There we go. Okay, what do you think?
About 1 cup?
Yep, about 1 cup. So we're going to take the 1 cup of onion, and oh, I can feel it in my eyes. And we're going to put that in. Can you hear it sizzle? Give it a little mix. It's up a little high because they're going to saute just lightly. I just want the onions to the point where they are a little clear. Oh, thank you. Okay, let's go back here. And now we're going to add the carrots and the celery because we want all these vegetables to begin cooking at about the same time. As I said, this is a very quick and easy soup. So we've got little baby carrots there. All right. And additionally, what I love about good old carrots, onions, and celery, it's a very traditional blend of vegetables. There you go. You can see it simmering on the bottom. And we're down to about medium high. Okay. I'm going to save the spinach for a little bit later then spinach will wilt very quickly, but we've got about a cup of spinach here. Okay, let's take this. I like to clean up as I go. Now, let's see what else are we supposed to put in there. Navy beans. We're going to use white beans. You can use either navy beans, cannellini beans, or what else do we have? Any kind of white bean that's already cooked. That's why we're doing this quickly, because it's cans. But the one thing I want to remind you of, please, when you get your cans home from the stores, please wash the tops before you open them. So we're going to give them a little wash with some soap and water. Because you never know what's been running around in the back room of the store, whether it has feet or fingers that touch the can. And I know it's not a fun thought, but it's real. So keep in mind, before you use a can of anything, please wash the top. So I'm going to take my tomatoes, and this one has a pop top. So we'll do that and get that ready. And these are the fire roasted tomatoes. Your choice here is you can use fire roasted tomatoes, or you can use just a regular can of diced tomatoes, whichever you prefer. Now let's go over here and let's see how it's doing. Oh, perfect. Okay. Thank you, Lorraine. You can see that the onions are starting to get clear, which is perfect, the translucency. And I want them to just saute a little bit more. And the nice thing about this, when we put the vegetables in this way, is that they don't get soggy. And that's the reason I really love this soup. So we're going to add our can of tomatoes. All right. Oh, that's beautiful. And of course, when you add something cold, a liquid that's cold, it's going to slow down the cooking. So if you heard the difference between the sizzle before and now, and I think you can hear it on camera, I think this microphone picks up pretty much of the sounds. And now I'm going to add my beans. Oh, I do need a can opener. There we go. Thank you, ma'am. All right. And for those of you who are wondering why we use the canned beans, because it's quick. And the organic ones are as good or better than some of the others. And I really prefer them. I'm going to drain the liquid from this, though, from the beans. Now, normally I would drain and rinse the beans, but I want the starch here, because the starch on the beans will give you some energy. It's a good energy source. And there's plenty of liquid in there, so we're taking that out. You can add more than one can of beans if you like, depends on the volume you're looking for. This is going to make enough soup to feed about 6 people. And there's my white beans. Let's get the rest of them out of the can. And I'm sure you can hear it's back to sizzling. I'm just going to mix everything well in here so we get all the spices that are in there mixed evenly. And if you notice, I have not added any salt or pepper or anything else, because frankly, there's plenty of spice and flavor between the natural flavors of the vegetables that are in there and of course the fire roasted tomatoes. They give it a really kind of a smoky flavor. Okay, we're back here. Thank you. Now, what I wanted to show you is another trick that I use, and that of course is, well, we'll do the Parmesan cheese, that comes later for the topping, and we're going to take the spinach in a few minutes, but right now I'm going to make some chicken base and chicken broth. And again, I'm using hot water to do this. And where's my tablespoon? Oops, hello. Oh, it's got a big tablespoon. Okay. It calls for 3 cups of chicken broth or veggie broth. If you want to keep it vegan, then you would use veggie broth or mushroom broth, either one. And so I'm going to take, this is a tablespoon and a half. So what I'm going to do is fill it most of the way. Take a little bit out. It can't hurt to have a little extra. But a tablespoon is usually equivalent to 3 teaspoons, which would be equivalent to 3 cups of preparing 3 cups of broth. So that's what we're going to do with this. And I'm using my low sodium Better Than Bouillon. And I've got some boiled water here. And here's where we create the broth. And as you pour it into the spoon, the mixing spoon or the measuring spoon, and it gets into the cup, the measuring cup, let's just mix it around here. And the reason for doing it this way is very simple. I'm creating broth that's already hot, that when it goes into the pan or the pot, which I'm going to turn down a little bit, it's already hot so that it won't stop the cooking process. And as I said, this is a really quick and easy soup, but it is very hearty and very rich and filling. So now I'm going to fill up, I've got most of it dissolved. Then I'm going to fill it up to the 3 cup mark. Here we go. Okay. And let's make sure that all of our base is, you can use bouillon, which comes in cubes, or you can use the base, which is spoonable. So we're going to carefully add that to our soup mix. You want to switch it? Thank you. You can see that it's bubbling and it's beginning to stick to the pot, so we don't want that. This means our vegetables are getting beautifully done, and you can leave the soup out or the tomatoes out with all the broth if you want to, and kind of caramelize the veggies first. But we're going to just make this really quickly, carefully adding it. And you'll notice that it only stops bubbling for just a couple of seconds because it is boiling water. So our soup is getting, here we go. It'll come back up to a boil in just a second. Notice if I turn it up a little more, I turned it down to medium. And you can see it's nice and thick with the beans. We're going to let that roast a little bit more. Now, you can see it's still steaming, so it's about to start boiling again. One of the things I want to mention is that with this kind of soup, if you have some other vegetables in your refrigerator or in your veggie basket, you can certainly add them to the soup now. But this is absolutely white, Tuscan white bean soup, which has the tomatoes, the white beans, celery, onions, and carrots, and that's really it. We're adding the spinach, and so that will just add to the flavor as well as the nutrition of the soup. I'm just going to give it a little more chop up here. But if you want to add some more, because I've some other vegetables, I did make a pot of it yesterday, and I had some yellow squash. I had a little piece of yellow squash left over, and then we had some, there was something else that I had. I think I had a little piece of, oh, I know what it was, collard greens. I had some collard greens, so I chopped up the collard greens, including the stems, because there's a lot of minerals and vitamins in the stems of greens, big leafy green vegetables like that, and added those. So that soup was a little bit thicker, and I can show you the difference in a couple of minutes when we go back here and see how we're doing. I think we're going to add, here we go. And I really don't want it to boil anymore. I just want it to simmer so all the flavors come together. There we go. And I am going to give it a little taste to see if we need some salt or pepper or something else we might want to add. Okay. Let's cool it off first. It's got a nice rich flavor from the tomatoes and all the other vegetables that are in there. You want to grab a spoon and taste?
Sure.
And we'll get someone else's opinion too. Because my opinion is I like to taste the vegetables. So grab a taste and see what you think. But make sure you cool it off here.
It's steamy.
Yeah, it is nice and steamy. Be careful. It is hot. So I'm going to get the spinach ready to put in there. Because we just want to put that in almost like a topping because spinach just wilts really quickly. What do you think?
Very good. Very good.
Okay, so
Delicious.
it's basically we're looking at the flavors of the vegetables that are in there. And if you haven't tasted fresh vegetables, they're fabulous. Anyway, okay, let's take our spinach. Let me see how our time is going here. And we'll just put that in on top and mix it up. And let that simmer. Okay. So now it's really pretty. All the color. I like colorful food because frankly, we eat first with our eyes. And if something is pretty, we're a lot more likely to eat it. Okay. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit and let that simmer. And really, you can simmer it open or covered. I like to simmer it open because it just fills the room with a great aroma. But it also keeps the liquid from condensing and adding more of the just plain water. At any rate, I like to do it uncovered. If you're going to keep it for a while and not serve it until a few hours later, then go ahead and cover it and turn it off. And at this point, it's a really, we've done just about 20 minutes. So that shows you how fast you can put something together that's fresh and absolutely delicious when you get home from work or at any time when you're doing something and you want to do a quick, really quick meal. So the other thing would be, one thing that you could add to this is a little more spinach, or we're going to add the topping. We're going to add some grated Parmesan cheese, nicely freshly grated. And so does anybody have any questions? Do we have anybody out there with comments or questions? I would really appreciate that. Lorraine, what do you think? Can you talk about, I know you like to cook and you're a vegan, correct? Or vegetarian.
Yeah.
Okay. You can come on the camera.
Okay. So I agree with her that it has plenty of salty taste to it with the canned
The tomatoes
in there. And then, but not so overpowering that you can't taste the vegetables.
Yeah.
And I love vegetables, and I agree. I would put more spinach in.
We can put more spinach in. Let's do it. Okay.
Okay.
Have at it.
Okay.
The other thing I'd like to mention about when you're doing canned soups, if you buy canned soups, most of them, and even those that say they're low sodium, my personal feeling and my professional feeling when cooking for people, and I cook for seniors and I cook for people as a nutritionist who have some health issues, and I use very little salt. Salt is good to bring out the flavors and to help things process, help vegetables as well as meats and chicken and fish and so forth. They process well. However, what I find with commercial soups, and a lot of times even in good restaurants, they're over salted. So rather than do that, I will put in a minimal amount of salt, which is already in there, in the canned beans as well as in the fire roasted tomatoes. As a matter of fact, just for fun, let's see how much salt is in here. Actually, there's 200 milligrams of salt in this 14 ounce or 14 and a half ounce can. And that's plenty of salt to go with, to bring out the flavors in the tomatoes as well as the rest of the vegetables. Thank you.
You're welcome. I did have a question. I think the recipe called for some thyme. When do you put that in?
Now is the time. Thank you. Yes. And I am also a fan of herbs. And so I've got my little bottle of thyme here. And when I'm cooking like this, I take the sprinkle top off. And I use either a measuring spoon, or if you don't have a measuring spoon handy in a hurry, use the top of the jar. Because you can do about, I'm going to put almost a tablespoon of thyme in there. And this is dried thyme. You can use fresh. Thank you for the reminder. Sometimes I'll add thyme. You can add basil to this soup as well. And as I say, intuitively, if you and your family or whomever happen to like a certain herb, like thyme or basil, feel free to add that. Okay, and that is going to change, the aroma and the flavor.
I also like to add black pepper.
Yes. Yeah. Now there's where the fire roasting comes in, because it gives it kind of a charcoaly flavor. And if you're lucky enough to have a gas range, you can fire roast your tomatoes on the gas range. There's an old trick that I used to do when I did have a gas range, where you take the tomatoes and you actually put them in the flame. You have to do it, with tongs, of course, so you don't burn your hands, and let the skins charcoal. And then you can skin those. You can actually take them and skin them. We're going to add a little bit of black pepper, nice and freshly ground. And if you want to add some more, that's fine. But I just want a little bit in there. Salt and pepper are two of those things that you can always add on later, and once you're serving it. And we're just going to give this a few minutes more to cook. And good point, Lorraine. Speak to, add on what you want. And we wanted more spinach, so we put some more spinach in. Good deal. We wanted the thyme, so I put the thyme in there. If I want to put some basil in, I can do that as well. However, I'd like to run out, I won't do it, but I'd like to run out to the garden and grab some fresh basil. And fresh basil always makes a good garnish on top, as well as the spinach, because you chop it just enough to get the oils to release, so that they'll release their aroma and their flavors into the soup when you top it, and you'll mix it up as you serve it. And the other thing you might put on top of something like a soup like this is either roasted pine nuts, it gives it a great Mediterranean flavor, or roasted pumpkin seeds. Yeah, you could always add something like that as a little bit of garnish on the top, just for fun and for flavor, as well as the nutritional parts of it. So we're going to let that do that for a couple more minutes. And what I want to do is I'm going to grab yesterday's soup, which is still fresh, out of the refrigerator, along with some sunflower seeds. Just happen to have some sunflower seeds in the fridge. And here's yesterday's soup, and it looks pretty much like today's soup. I'm going to put one in a flat bowl. You can certainly serve it this way. And actually, I'm going to use this. Nope, wait a minute. I can't fit my ladle in the jar, and I can't fit this in it either. Okay, let's get another spoon. Can you grab a big spoon out of there for me, please? Because I don't know if you can see how thick this is. This is yesterday's version, and you can see all the veggies that are in there, and there is liquid, plenty of liquid. It's going to look a little bit different because this one has some of the yellow squash in it. And also in this one, I used Great Northern beans, or cannellini beans. And you can see the yellow squash. And this one also has a little bit of the collard greens in it. So we've made two different versions of the Tuscan white bean soup. As long as you've got your white beans in there, you're cool. Okay. And this is, as I say, this is really, really hearty green bean and vegetable soup. I'm going to take my Parmesan cheese, sprinkle about a tablespoon on top. Now a little bit more. Okay. And let's see. I think we just put a couple of those little sunflower seeds on top as well, just for fun. And they'll get a little crunchy. Or I'm fresh out of pine nuts. So can we go to the other camera so I can show this? It's really pretty. Thank you. Okay, so here we have, there we go. That's the finished bowl of yesterday's soup, and you'll see the yellow pieces of yellow in there. That's the yellow squash. It's kind of hard to see actually, but they're in there. And so this will have a little bit different flavor. There we go. And I just cut it up into quarters, basically, and put that in there. And this soup is cool right now, but I can certainly heat it up, either in the microwave, which I don't love to use, but sometimes it's a necessary thing. And we're just about done with this soup, so I'm going to turn it off and give it another stir. You can see it looks a little bit different. It's a bit darker. And since I used the navy beans in this, the white beans, it's going to have a little bit different flavor. So I'm going to put Lorraine to the taste here, or taste test, and see which one she prefers. I'm going to let that settle for a second, and then we'll ladle that into this bowl, a little bit different, because you can serve it either way. Let's see. Do you want to chop up a little bit more spinach and put some fresh on there?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to our other. Little technical here. Wait a minute. There we go. And I'm going to get out something as a surprise. Just because I can. I've got some wonderful artichoke hearts that I'm going to take as soon as I rinse the spoon.
Should I sprinkle these on?
Yeah, sprinkle that on. And let's take a couple of artichoke hearts. And these are marinated. And let's cut those up into little slivers. This is something else you can do, as well as, we'll do it with some, here we go. Let's see. And by the way, don't throw this marinade away. This makes into a wonderful salad dressing, just FYI. I like to use things in different ways. And one other little goodie that we're going to get out. I would almost go for peanut butter, but it doesn't quite taste the same with this. So, avocado. And I'm going to cut up my avocado. And every time I open an avocado, I have my fingers crossed that it's going to be really beautiful. Well, yeah, perfect. So, and this one is fairly ripe. And sometimes I use the back of my knife instead of the pointy, the sharp point, because it doesn't cut through the skin as easily. And I'm going to slice this into some thin sliced, here we go, and take that big spoon that almost matches the avocado, and we're going to spoon that out. That's what big serving spoons are good for sometimes, because you get out all your avocado at once. And we'll take some pieces of the avocado. I think I'm going to cut them a little thinner. We'll let you see what we're doing here. And Lorraine has cut up the artichoke hearts. So we're going to take the cool artichoke hearts and the avocado slices when they don't break up like that, but we'll see. Here we go. We'll make them a little skinnier. Can everybody see what we're doing here? I hope so. Let's see. And we'll take the rest of this and make the avocado slices. So a little riper than I would have liked because it's not quite as firm, but there we go. So we've got that ready. And we can take a couple of those slices and put them right on our soup with a couple of marinated artichoke hearts. And how much better could a soup get?
Looks delicious.
Yummy. Well, you get to taste it. Okay, and I'm going to wipe my messy paws here. As I said, we have some fun in the kitchen. Now I'm going to take the soup, the one that we just made, and see how cleanly that comes out. This is beautiful, using the big spoon. I'm going to take my freshly made soup and there we go, and spoon it in. And you know what else would be good in here to keep the whiteness of it and add a little bit more starch would be some fresh corn. So you can build your soup any way you like it. And as we've got it going here, we're going to garnish the soups. We've done this one with Parmesan cheese, fresh spinach, fresh avocado, and marinated artichoke hearts. We're going to put a little bit of the grated cheese on here in the hot one and add our artichoke hearts as well. And they'll warm up when you put them on there, of course. It's nice to have the combination of the cool and the warm. Let's see. Here we go. I think we've got it. What do you think?
Looks good.
And here we go. Let's get the other camera and I can show people. You can just garnish it any way you like. But this one is the hot one. There we go. And it's a little bit different flavor from this one. And if you have somebody around the house, like I do, who prefers things cool to hot, he will happily slurp up every bit of this soup that's cold. And you can serve it cold. It just sort of becomes more of a vegetable that's refreshing if it's a warm day. And I like my soup hot. So it's like Jack Sprat and, you know, the Fat and Lean. And it just really doesn't matter as long as it satisfies you and your family. So that's where you can do the different interpretations. And I think we've just about got it because we've got both of the soups. One is a little bit different with some yellow squash and a few other things that we threw in. And this one is pretty much the Tuscan white bean soup as it's done, with the exception of the garnishes. And so we've used up some fresh vegetables, we've used some canned things, and we've combined things, and you can actually do the soup within 30 minutes. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you for being here. Again, I'm Ricki Mckenna. This is USA Global TV's United Kitchens. You're in Ricki's Kitchen, and we are wishing you a very happy and healthy weekend and a happy holiday season. To get in touch with me, please either check my website at rickiskitchen.net. That's RICKISKITCHEN.net. And you'll find recipes, you'll find connections to buy your favorite cook a gift. Come on over here and model that. And we do have the aprons. One of them is Take Whisks. The other one is Everything Tastes Better with Bacon. And we have the book, of course, is Yes, You Can Eat Well and Eat Right. And it'll give you some hints and some freedom in the kitchen and enable you to really use your own interpretations of the foods that you're cooking and enjoy every minute of it. So with that, I thank you so much. Again, it's rickiskitchen.net, and we are on USA Global TV on YouTube. And please come and visit with us. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you again next Friday. Thank you now. Bye now.
Bye-bye.